All right, I'm gonna show you. Listen to me, a true hunter, watch me. A true hunter is wired differently. We turn tragedy into triumph. That's what lions do. Lions don't cry, lions don't give up, lions don't quit, lions hunt. That's what we do for a living. And if you are a true lion, it does not make a difference what the circumstances is. Everybody wants to be a beast until it's time to do what real beasts do.
What is up, YouTube? Live via satellite here, and today we are talking Kingdom, Manga chapter 559. And look, man, I gotta be honest, we all owe Akko an apology. That's right, we all owe him an apology, myself included. Because we were treating him like he was Princess Peach, Zelda, Banyo, any damsel in distress you can think of. And there were so many different scenarios for the way this thing could have played out. So many. Shin could come in for the save, Ouhon could come in for the save, Ousens may descend from the heavens, all types of stuff. But never in a million years would I have thought that this man would have went straight beast mode and not only blocked one but both Ouhon and Bananji strikes. Akko is a beast, man. Like, get this man some Skittles.
That's when it just clicked in my mind that if you just run through somebody's face, a lot of people ain't gonna be able to take that over and 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 over again. They just not gonna want that.
Alright, so the chapter picks up right where we left off last chapter, where we see both Bananji and Ouhon both attacking Akko. And it looks like both their glaives are going full speed where they're about to take Akko's head off. And as Juho the messenger is yelling out for Akko to give him a heads up, Akko is able to first fend off Bananji as if he has eyes in the back of his head, but then is also able to move quick enough to counter Ouhon's attack as well. The expression on Juho's face says it all because that is exactly how I was looking. Because not only did he fend them off, he hit them with enough power that both their horses skid. And in the next panel, you see Akko in clear beast mode. And we see now that this is not going to be as easy as they thought to take Akko's head. And as we see Akko in one panel fighting against Ouhon and then in the next fighting against Bananji, his men are doing anything they can to get to Akko to try to give him a hand. But the Zhao soldiers in front of them will not let them pass. And then we get some Quinn soldiers even trying to shame Ouhon and Bananji from the crowd, saying what type of man fights like that 2 against 1, and even calling them cowards. And I'm not gonna lie, for a second there, I was getting convinced by these guys. I started thinking to myself, yeah, that's right, that is a bitch move. Until I had this flashback to another situation, and then I kinda had to let this go. And Bananji even tells them that they're spouting nonsense because it's due only to the failure of their own strategy. And as Ouhon himself is starting to overwhelm Akko, we see Bananji acknowledge Akko, stating that he gives him his praise since he was able to last for 9 whole days. But as he rides on, states that this here is farewell. Then the focus switches over to Ouhon, where we see that they're still struggling to get through Gakuei's defense, and they're starting to notice that the focus has been placed on them so they can't interfere, but also the fact that Shin and Gakuei have yet to start their duel. And as Ouhon's looking over the battlefield, he's interrupted by an urgent message from the Akko army. And then the messenger comes in, letting Ouhon know everything that's going on Akko's side of the battlefield, saying that he's facing off against both Ouhon and Bananji, and also that Gune has been slain in battle. And we see that Banyo's a bit taken aback by this, but the messenger goes on to let Ouhon know that Akko is still desperately fighting for his life, and that even though their men have been trying to assist him, none of their units have been able to break through. And he asks if Ouhon and his men would please come to Akko's aid. But Kanjo wonders in his head, is it worth it? Because not only do they have their own battle to fight, but he wonders if they'd be able to even make it in time, because even though Akko's strong, there's no way he could last long against both Bananji and Ouhon. And as he turns to voice his opinions about this, we see Ouhon yell for quiet. And as he takes a moment to think, he then gathers his resolve and says to his men that there is no one who can replace Akko for the right wing, and that the Gyokuho will make for the left to go aid Akko. And though the messenger is pleased, Kanjo does speak up, saying that won't that screw the right wing if they're unable to kill Gakue anyway? And Banyo also agrees with his statement, realizing that they'd be wasting one of their precious days considering that they're already starving, and that making no progress today would be a pretty big blow. But surprisingly, Ouhon says that Shin of the Haishin unit is making his way closer to Gakue, and that the taking of Gakue's head shall be entrusted to him. Everyone seems shocked to see Ouhon place so much trust in Shin. This is one of those situations that you really gotta take it in and appreciate it, because you know it's not gonna happen often.
We've been told people start sobbing. For some, it's just a life-changing event. And we may start doing that too. But I'll get my act together, guys. And I'll be back to you, I promise.
But Ouhon's not taking his entire force. He leaves Kanjo and his men there so that they can pressure the Gakue army and not completely turn their focus on Shin. And as Ouhon begins to move out, he says that killing Gakue doesn't even matter if Akko were to die, because if his head was paraded around the battlefield, then the right wing would be truly and utterly defeated, and that he cannot allow that to happen. So he really hopes that he can bring Akko back alive, but if he can't manage that, at the very least he promises to bring his body back. Back over at Akko, we see that he's doing his best to maintain, but for every hit it seems like he lands, it seems like Gyun and Bananji are both able to land one of their own. And as onlookers see Akko taking more and more damage, you can only imagine what's going through their head is how much more can this man take. But just as it looks like Akko is down for the count, he comes through with another haymaker, destroying Bananji's helmet and nearly taking an eye as he scars Bananji's face. Everyone's surprised to see how much Akko had left. It was almost as if Akko was saying that if he's going out, he's taking Bananji down with him. But Bananji quickly returns the favor and nearly takes Akko's head off, as he also loses his helmet. And as the onlookers are shocked, thinking that Akko is now probably finished, Bananji knows otherwise, stating that because he swung his glaive out of pure reflexes, he was not able to finish Akko off, and that now that honor would go to Gyun. And as we see Gyun winding up to take Akko's head, we see another familiar weapon slicing body parts and catching Bananji's eye. And just in the nick of time, we see Akakin rushing up behind Gyun. And it's a good thing Gyun is warned of his arrival, because he comes in throwing ninja stars, shurikens, whatever you want to say. All I know is that Akakin showed up like a ninja assassin.
He was my friend. You killed him. And now I'm gonna kill you.
Gyun is able to block his face just in time. But this also serves to take his attention away from Akko. And as Bananji notices what's going on and decides that he's going to take Akko out along with the intruder, Akakin throws another dagger that precisely lands in Bananji's hand, throwing him off target. And then we see Akakin display one of the best maneuvers of horsemanship that we've seen in the series, as he slides in to swoop up Akko, as Bananji's swing is only able to connect with Akko's horse. And as the crowd goes wild for Akakin, he has to admit that they just barely escaped the jaws of death by the skin of their teeth. And he tells everyone not to celebrate just yet, because it's not like Bananji and Gyun are gonna allow them to get away scot-free. And he goes on to tell Akko that he's gonna try to get him out of there in one piece, but he's sorry in advance if things don't happen to work out. But with a smile on his face, he says although if the young lord is on his way, that they still have a glimmer of hope after all. And that was the chapter in a nutshell, guys. Alright guys, so that was a great chapter of Kingdom, and I'm gonna tell you what, man, Akko has earned my respect to the fullest. My appreciation for Akko has skyrocketed after this chapter, like no joke. I mean, he stood up to 2 top tier guys like a boss this chapter. I mean, it really shows you that he's the real deal. I mean, I already had a pretty good feeling about him when he was able to hang with Bananji, but for him to be able to stand up against both Bananji and Gyun, that was just on another level to me. And I mean, when you really break it down, we didn't get too much further this chapter because we only really saw him fighting and then getting saved. And then on Shin's side of the battlefield, we saw Ouhon go to help aid Akko as well, and that he's leaving everything up to Shin. But that in and of itself is worth talking about, because even though he's leaving it to Shin, he's still kind of realizing that even if Shin's unable to be successful, they have to go help Akko, because losing him would be something that they wouldn't be able to recover from. And it really can't be overlooked that in a way he's actually acknowledging Shin's strength, which for Ouhon is some pretty big character development. But the one thing about Ouhon going to help Akko is, I kind of wonder if he's going to be able to make it, because we haven't really seen Shigaryu in a while, and I know he's hanging about somewhere. And he's a pretty smart character, and he's always keeping his eye on Ouhon's movements. So I kind of wonder if he'd actually wind up trying to intercept Ouhon as he's making his way over there. But it also kind of seems like the way they were talking this chapter, like they actually need Ouhon to make it, because otherwise how's Akakin going to be able to escape? So I'm not really sure how that's going to all play out, but it's really starting to look like Shin's going to actually go after Gakue. Even though I don't want it to happen, like I do not want it to happen, like I don't. I can see it starting to trend that way, even though I'm like fighting it with everything I have. But if him and Gakue wind up going at it and Shin takes his head, I just gotta accept it. But we really didn't get anything at all from Shin this chapter, so we still kind of don't know what that whole situation was with him last week when he stopped in the middle of the battlefield and started huffing and puffing. So hopefully we get a little more insight on that. I really still don't see how they can manage to kill Gakue and then the day not be considered a success, because they wound up doing what they set out to do, because Akko didn't die and they kill Gakue. So I'm still gonna stick to the fact that Gakue is probably gonna make it out of here alive, and that the big issue is like how Banyo was alluding to, that they couldn't afford to waste a precious day. And I do have to say I was pretty impressed with Akakin in this chapter. He seems to have this knack for showing up just at the right time. I mean, this is definitely not the first time we've seen him do this. Back in chapter 538, we saw that he was skillful enough to not only help Ouhon once, but twice, where he was first seen helping Ouhon to attack the edges of the Banaji army, which was really helpful in Ouhon's plan to weaken the Banaji army. But secondly, when Shigaryu tried to counter this move and sent 1,000 cavalry to snuff out Ouhon's attack, Akakin again helps out by taking his men to engage those 1,000 cavalry. In both cases, it seems like Akakin knew the importance of what he was actually doing. And seeing that he always finds himself in the right place at the right time, I wouldn't be surprised if Akakin winds up being an instinctual type. So seeing him showing up to make a play this chapter made a whole lot of sense to me. And it's obvious that this guy is destined for Ouhon's squad in the future. And if that happens, the Gyokuho unit will be the only other unit besides Shin's that will be familiar with a lot of the characters in it. But finally guys, I'm trying to do something new where I show a little love to the comments section and occasionally feature somebody's comment on a review. So this week we have Miguel Valdez asking what are my thoughts about the new live action movie for Kingdom. And to be honest, I want to be hype, I really do. But knowing the track record with stuff like this, I can't get excited. I hope it's good, I really do, but I'm keeping my expectations low. Now if it was an anime announcement, then we'd be talking. But anyway guys, that about does it for this week's review. Let me know what you guys thought of the chapter in the comments section below. Please leave a like if you guys enjoyed the video, and feel free to share, comment, and subscribe. Peace out.